started with the first step in the secure flow, which is, of course, the pre-registration of the visitors. With Proxyclick, you have the ability to pre-register visitors. That way you know who will be on your location, when, what time, and additional information that may be relevant to their visit. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and use my Outlook add-in. This is going to allow me to create a visit on my calendar, just as normally I would do for any of the events that I may partake on. Of course, I will be able to enter any information that is relevant to the meeting. So my visitors in this case are aware of the agenda, for example. And then in addition to that, I will have the ability to answer already certain questions that will allow me to identify any potential threats or allow me to identify any potential problems with any of my visitors. The way that we will do this is through answering the questions on the add-in and then attaching the meeting directly from here. Once that has been completed, those visits will automatically appear on my logbook. And as you can see now, these visits are in review. This means that my approver has now received a notification to verify and review these specific visits and to allow them to review the information that I have entered and make a decision if this visitor should be welcome in my location. The approver then will have access to the pending approvals queue, in which they will have access to general information about the visitor, the previous history of that visitor, additional fields like the company name or the reason for the visit, the license plate number, the mobile phone number, any information that may be relevant for them to be able to make a decision. And based on that, they will have the ability to approve or deny that visit. In this case, we're going to go ahead and approve this specific visit. And then at that point, the visitor will be notified of their invitation to Mindtech. Mindtech is a technology company that has a lot of proprietary information, and therefore the approval process is very important for them. This will allow them to protect them from any potential individuals that may possess a risk to their technology, their employees, contractors in the building, or anyone else in the building for that sense. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and review one more. That would be David Cruz here. I can take a look at the information, and based on the information, I can say that this visitor should not be allowed to come in. He's a potential competitor from Mindtech, and therefore, according to our policies, he should not be allowed in our premises. Therefore, as an approver, I will go ahead and deny that visit. At that point, the host has already been notified that that visitor has been denied. And immediately on the logbook, we will see that Jerry has been switched from in review to expected, and David Cruz from in review to denied. The visitor will not know that it was denied. They will simply not receive an invitation for that event. There is one important thing about the secure flows that I would like to review next, and that relates to the information that the visitor would be able to provide at any given time. The additional layer of security that you can add to your flow is remote registration. Remote registration allows you to send an additional questionnaire with questions specific to a contractor, a visitor, a business contact, a truck driver that may arrive in your location to pre-screen them before they arrive on site. In this case, what I'm showing on my screen is the remote registration questionnaire for Mindtech. In this case, we're being asked regarding the purpose of our visit. As I mentioned, this is a business meeting. I will also have the ability to add questions related to the current health situation to be able to screen any potential risks when it comes to COVID. I will have the ability to include any compliance questions that may be relevant to my industry, like knowing if someone belongs to a sanctioned institution, if someone comes from a country of interest, or if they represent a government agency. Once the screening has been completed using our smart rules, we will be able to determine if that visitor or that contractor should be welcome on site. And at the end, in addition to the information regarding to their visit, they will have the ability to add the mobile pass to their wallet. A final layer of security is the Proxyclick kiosk, which allows locations with unexpected visitors to complete the registration on the kiosk. And in addition to that, for expected visitors, the ability to register the time that they arrive and that they leave your location. That way, your logbook will always be up to date. However, the kiosk has additional security layers that you can add to make a flow even more secure. Let me show you some of them. Let's start with the agreement. The agreement can be very important in the case of agreements regarding confidentiality, display instructions about health or safety, and then to allow you to keep record of these agreements in any kind of storage that you may use. Proxyclick allows you to integrate with different storage systems that will allow you to keep these agreements organized and at reach at any time. Once the visitor has agreed to the agreement or answer any questions in the kiosk, we will also print a badge. This badge will allow you to identify visitors on site by color, by name, by using the QR code that was printed or assigned to them at the time that they checked in. And in addition to that, it will allow you to display important instructions to contractors like safe and healthy, or things like not able to smoke in certain areas of the building. Once the unexpected visitor has completed the flow in the kiosk, then these changes will be automatically reflected in your logbook. Then in the logbook, your security teams or your reception teams will have the ability to manage these visitors. As you can see, Mary Jones has been placed on site at this time. On site is an intermediate status between an expected and a checked-in visitor. This allows your security teams or your reception to verify their identity by asking for a valid form of identification. This allows them to identify the visitor in front of them or to ask any additional questions that may be required due to your screening process. At the time that one of your team members places them in checked in, this is registered in our activity log, and therefore they will be able to immediately check at any time what were the steps that were taken throughout the visit and by who and at what time specifically these steps were taken. This comes very useful in the case of a security incident on site. Additionally, you will be able to automate the ID verification. This can be done with ID Match. ID Match can work with your kiosk to allow you to identify your visitors as soon as they arrive on site, scan their valid identification into the kiosk, and complete the check-in process. This will allow you then to see the level of confidence that Proxyclick has on the visitor being the person on the valid identification and provides you with a percentage. You then will be able to make decisions on the logbook to let that person in or not. With ID Match and with all these services, you will be able to configure different flows and different combinations of these on your settings. You will be able to find approval and activate or deactivate at any time, remote registration to configure your registration flow with any questions, messages, images, or videos that may be relevant to your policy, to configure your agreements, including the ability to configure multiple agreements for multiple types of visitors, and of course, at building security features like ID Match or watchlists. With this in mind, we keep privacy on the top of everything that we do. And with our automated retention period, you will have the ability to delete any personal data automatically according to your policy. That can be on any number of days, months, or years that you define for your company.